Our trip in Indonesia, Jason. The unknown is a wild place, and sometimes it's best not to poke around where you don't belong. Let me tell you about this insane road trip I took in Indonesia. It was supposed to be a chill adventure with my friends, but man, things got real spooky real fast. We rented this beat-up van, the kind that looked like it survived a zombie apocalypse. But hey, it was cheap, and we were all about that budget life. So, we hit the road, blasting our favorite tunes and cracking jokes. Everything was chill until we hit this desolate stretch of highway, surrounded by dense, creepy-ass forests. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting eerie shadows that danced on the road. It was like the forest was swallowing us up, and the van's headlights were a feeble attempt to push back the darkness. The atmosphere inside the van got tense, but we shrugged it off as pre-road trip jitters. Then, out of nowhere, our GPS started acting up. The damn thing couldn't decide if we were in Indonesia or the Twilight Zone. It kept rerouting us through these tiny, isolated villages that weren't even on the map. We thought, whatever, let's roll with it. Big mistake. As we drove deeper into the unknown, the air got thick, and an unsettling silence settled in. No more jokes, no more laughter, just the hum of the van and the creepy rustling of the trees. The GPS lady kept interrupting the silence with her monotone directions, leading us further into this dark abyss. The road got narrower, and the van's headlights struggled to pierce the blackness. We passed abandoned shacks that looked straight out of a horror movie. I'm talking creaky wooden structures with windows that seemed to be staring at us like hungry eyes. I swear, it felt like we were driving through a haunted dimension. I could feel eyes on us from the shadows, but every time I turned to look, there was nothing there. My buddies and I exchanged nervous glances, but we played it cool. Nobody wanted to admit we were scared out of our minds. Then, out of the blue, the van's engine started acting up. It sputtered and coughed like it was possessed by some mechanical demon. We pulled over, popped the hood, and stared at the engine like a bunch of clueless idiots. None of us were car experts, and the dark surroundings weren't helping. That's when we heard it, the distant eerie notes of the gamelan music emerge like ghostly whispers from another realm through the trees. Tribal, primal beats that sent shivers down our spines. We looked at each other like, what the heck is going on? The gamelan got louder and louder, closer, and we decided to investigate, because why not? I mean, who would be playing music in the middle of nowhere? We stumbled through the darkness, following the rhythmic patterns like moths to a flame. We walked and walked into the shadows that seemed to come alive with every single step. It was like the forest was playing tricks on us, making us question our sanity. Out of nowhere, a group of bats flew past us, attacking us in a way. Jessie shrieked in horror as we tried to slap them away. A few of us just laughed nervously. It's just bats. Nothing to be afraid of. Suddenly, the music stopped, and an eerie silence fell over the woods. We found ourselves in a clearing, surrounded by towering trees that seemed to reach for the stars. In the center of the clearing stood an old wooden house, barely visible in the dim moonlight. Against our better judgment, we approached the house. Again, no one wanted to admit that any of us were afraid. It was a traditional Indonesian kampong house. Beneath the house, a network of weathered stilts lifting the structure above the ground. The stilts, bearing the weight of time, leaned slightly under the burden of countless memories. A rickety set of stairs, worn smooth by the passage of time, ascends to the front door. The wooden windows were open, and the wind whispered through the gaps, creating a haunting melody. We entered the house, and the creaky floorboards groaned beneath our weight. The interior was frozen in time, covered in dust and cobwebs. The air was thick with a musty scent, a blend of aging wood and memories. Antique furniture adorned the rooms, and faded photographs stared at us from the walls. It was like stepping into a forgotten chapter of history. As we explored further, the temperature dropped, and an icy breeze brushed against our skin. We reached a room at the end of a dark corridor, and the door creaked open as if inviting us inside. Reluctantly, we entered, and our flashlights from our phones revealed a gruesome sight. There, in the center of the room, was a circle of old, tattered dolls arranged in a ritualistic pattern. Their glass eyes gleamed in the faint light, and their stitched mouths seemed to whisper secrets. The air grew colder, the doors shut closed, and the unnatural wind slapped our faces. Suddenly, the dolls began to move. Not like, oh, they're probably just shifting because of the wind, but like full-on, possessed by demonic energy moving. To our horror, their heads turned towards us slowly, their limbs twitched, and their tiny feet shuffled across the wooden floor. We froze, our wide eyes locked on the unholy puppet show unfolding before us. The gamelan music started again, moving on its own, the orchestra got louder than ever, and the dolls danced in eerie synchronization. It was a macabre ballet, and we were the unwilling audience. The room pulsed with an otherworldly energy, and fear clung to us like a suffocating fog. We froze, unable to move, as if we were imprisoned by some invisible forces. The show ended, we felt untied. We immediately dashed out, screaming, trying to unlock the door that was shut close, but to no avail. Rob kicked the wooden door and it broke, creating space for exit. We didn't wait and rushed out through the broken door. Scratched and hurt, we kept running and running to the van, panting, drenched in sweat, and we dared not look back. Back in the van, the engine miraculously roared to life, as if the spirits of that forsaken place had granted us a hasty escape. We sped away from the haunted house, leaving the dark forest and its secrets behind. As we drove into the night, the music faded into the distance, and the GPS finally got its act together. The desolate villages turned into bustling towns, and the dense forests gave way to city lights. We didn't talk much for the rest of the trip, each of us were too dazed and lost in our own thoughts. That road trip in Indonesia was the craziest, spookiest adventure of our lives. We may have escaped the haunted house and the possessed dolls, but the memory of that night still lingers. The unknown is a wild place, and sometimes it's best not to poke around where you don't belong. If you found any enjoyment in the video, I implore you to click that like button and subscribe if you dare.